Discover the heartwarming miracle, how a black maid shocked the billionaire's son unable to walk. Jordan Green sat in his expansive living room, his once vibrant dreams now trapped in the shadows of a life he could no longer navigate. The view from the marble-clad window offered a breathtaking panorama of Buckhead, but today, it felt more like a gilded cage. He was once a star athlete, destined for a full scholarship and perhaps even the pros. Now, with his legs useless beneath him, resentment festered like a wound that refused to heal. The wealth surrounding him seemed suffocating. Each gold-framed picture, each designer fixture, whispered reminders of promises broken and a freedom lost. Into his isolated world stepped Clara, the maid whose laughter rippled through the silence of his home like sunlight breaking through storm clouds. Juggling 3 jobs to support her son, she carried stories of hard work and resilience in her eyes, her spirit unwavering. She was worldly wise yet refreshingly grounded. Their unlikely friendship began in the kitchen, where the smell of homemade meals brought Jordan a warmth he hadn't felt in ages. As Clara chopped vegetables, they would share glances that spoke volumes, turning moments into touching exchanges punctuated by laughter. For the first time, he didn't feel the weight of his situation so heavily. "It's like football," she said once, in her soft southern drawl, her hands busy rolling dough. "You gotta push through the dirt and grime to score. You've learned that, haven't you?" Her words felt like a lifeline thrown into the murky waters of his despair. They ignited a flicker of hope in Jordan's heart, a heartbeat in a world that felt lifeless. Weeks turned into a rhythm of shared meals and heart-to-heart chats. Clara's stories painted images of struggle the way the world was wrapped in privilege for some while others chased dreams with only sweat and determination. A spark of connection ignited a grudging respect in Jordan, pushing him out of his anger-fueled cocoon. But when Clara bravely confronted the wealthy elite at the charity event tied to his family's name, the tide shifted. Her voice rang clear, piercing through the polished airs of the room, highlighting the injustices she faced. It sent ripples through their community and stirred something deep within Jordan, something he could no longer ignore. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Caught between loyalty to family and newfound connection with Clara, Jordan found himself at a crossroads. His privileged existence felt more like a burden, the stories Clara shared burned into his soul. Could he reconcile the wealth that defined his life with the truths that Clara experienced daily? Suddenly, the stakes had never been higher, the divide never more evident. The community watched as events unfolded, and tensions escalated. Jordan's heart raced with a mixture of dread and determination as he realized he had to make a choice. Could the bond they forged really change the harsh realities that surrounded them? Would they be strong enough to face it together? As they locked eyes, the air crackled around them, the weight of their worlds hanging in the balance. They had only just begun to discover their paths and the question now lingered: would they allow their connection to bridge the chasm between hope and despair, or would the divides of privilege and prejudice swallow them whole? Jordan couldn't shake the feeling of unrest as he stared out at the horizon, where the sun dipped behind the skyline, casting a golden glow over the city he once adored. Transformation felt inevitable, yet he was terrified of what it might bring. Clara's boldness had sparked something in him, something that beckoned to be unleashed. Each story she told left an indelible mark on his heart, urging him to reconsider the life he had been born into, the life that felt increasingly unjust. The next day, the air in the house was heavy with anticipation as Clara arrived for her shift. Jordan greeted her with an unusual intensity that surprised them both. "Clara," he breathed carefully, "I can't stop thinking about what you said at the charity event." The warmth of her presence ignited something he had long buried. "Yeah. It was just the truth," she replied, her hands busy organizing the kitchen, but a flicker of uncertainty crossed her face. No. It was more than that. It was a wake-up call. He wheeled himself closer, their eyes locking. What if we could do more? What if we made a real difference together? A tentative smile crept onto Clara's lips, her eyes sparkling with hope and disbelief. You mean? I mean, we could start by organizing something for the community. A fundraiser, awareness campaigns, whatever it takes to lift people up, he explained, unearthing the fire that had ignited within him. Jordan, you've got influence. Your family. Clara hesitated, realizing the barrier of privilege they were discussing. I'm tired of hiding behind it. Tired of dismissing what I see when I look out that window. He gestured toward Buckhead, the affluent district that always felt at odds with Clara's tales of struggle and perseverance. Clara took a deep breath, calculating the risks. You understand this could put your family against you? They might not want you speaking up. This is dangerous territory. Maybe it is. But I'm tired of only watching from the sidelines. A burst of passion surged through Jordan. I want to be in the game again, even if it looks different. The sincerity of his words washed over Clara, and she felt her heart race. What do we start with? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper, as if she feared the universe might shatter the moment. Jordan's grin broadened. Let us reach out to some local organizations, talk about their needs. We can give a voice to those overlooked. Clara nodded, feeling a sense of purpose blossom between them. Together, they could forge a path that broke the mold of their worlds. They plunged into the planning, hatching ideas that filled notebooks with possibilities. Their discussions turned heartfelt, late-night sessions revealing dreams, hopes, and fears. Jordan's laughter rang through the house like music, and Clara's unwavering spirit lit the way forward. As days turned into weeks, the initiative began to blossom into something real. They created a community event that invited residents from all backgrounds to unite under the common goal of support and advocacy. But just as excitement surged, an unexpected letter arrived, an invitation from his family to a high-stakes charity gala, one that celebrated the very establishment Clara sought to challenge. Jordan's heart sank, torn between the loyalty that once defined him and the courage Clara had inspired. Would he stand as a reluctant heir to his family's legacy, or would he embrace the chance to reshape it alongside Clara? The choice loomed over him like a storm cloud, heavy with uncertainty, and within that moment, he could feel the stakes intensifying. Could his resolve endure the forces that wanted to keep him and Clara apart? As he read the letter again, a faint tremor of resolve coursed through him, a whisper that told him perhaps destiny awaited him between two worlds and he would have to choose soon. Would he find the strength to face the inevitable confrontation ahead? Jordan stared at the invitation again, a mix of dread and anticipation swirling in his chest. The words danced before his eyes, but it was Clara's voice echoing in his mind that pulled his focus back. What did it mean to use privilege as a tool for change? Hey, what's eating at you? Clara's voice broke through his thoughts, her brow furrowed in concern. She stood beside him, a grounding presence amidst the whirlwind of emotions. I got that invitation to the gala, he admitted, holding the letter up as if it were a weight too cumbersome to bear alone. It feels like a trap. Clara shook her head, her long hair swaying as she leaned closer. You have a choice. You don't have to go, especially if it means abandoning the work we started. But this could be important for my family. I can't just ignore them, he said, frustration bubbling to the surface. Clara sighed, stepping back. Jordan, are they really worth it? Or is it just the pressure that comes with the name? Her gaze was unwavering, challenging him to confront the truth. Jordan sighed, his heart heavy. It's complicated, Clara. These events are all about connections, and it's how I've been taught to navigate my world. She paused, then spoke softly, but you're not that kid anymore. You're growing, changing, wanting to fight for something real. The fire ignited in his chest again as he considered her words. Clara believed in him more than he believed in himself, sometimes. What if I go and try to make a convincing case for my family to get involved in what we're doing? Or you could be just another face in the crowd, another image on their walls, Clara replied, folding her arms across her chest. The question is, what kind of legacy do you want to create? Jordan felt a flicker of hope, an aspiration he had buried for far too long. What if I confront them? Tell them I want to do something different? Her eyes widened, and a smile spread across her face. I think you might be onto something, but you have to be prepared for the backlash. They won't understand. What if I don't care? He replied, surprising even himself. The possibility of forging his own path filled him with a warmth he craved. Then that essay start, Clara whispered, her voice carrying the warmth of a whispering truth. It might even be the spark that ignites real change. Over the next few days, Jordan's mind whirled with possibilities. He spent hours sketching out a speech that he hoped would resonate with his family, balancing the values they held dear with the priorities Clara had instilled in him. Each word he typed felt like a step toward liberation. Finally, the night of the gala arrived. He donned a tailored suit that felt foreign yet liberating. As he stepped outside, he noticed Clara waiting for him, her expression a mixture of fear and fierce pride. You ready? She asked, her voice steadied. He nodded, feeling grounded by her presence. With you beside me, I feel ready for anything. The gala hall loomed ahead, its grandeur stifling yet inviting. Laughter and clinking of glasses filled the air. As they crossed the threshold, a sense of determination surged through him. This was his moment to confront the past, to carve out a future alongside Clara, but just as he spotted his family across the room, an unexpected figure blocked his path. A representative from one of the organizations they had been working with stepped forward, expression grave. Jordan, I need to talk to you, it's urgent. As the weight of this new complication settled on him, he felt his heart race. Would he still be able to face his family? Or would this unexpected twist lead to a deeper understanding of his journey? With urgency rising within him, Jordan knew that tonight held the key, and he was about to unlock a door he never knew existed. What awaited him on the other side? Jordan felt the tension in his chest tighten as he looked at the representative, a woman he recognized from the charity they supported. Her eyes were wide with concern, and as she leaned closer, he could feel her urgency. Is everything okay? He asked, every nerve in his body humming. It's about the housing project in town. We think you need to hear this before you go to your family, she said, her voice barely above a whisper as if she were afraid someone might overhear. What about it? He shifted on his feet, feeling the weight of expectations pressing down on him. There are some issues with funding, she said, her words tumbling out quickly. If we don't act soon, we might have to abandon it altogether. Your family's influence could step in, but she hesitated, searching for the right words. If you can convince them, it could mean the difference between hope and despair for those families. Jordan stared at her, the room around him fading away. The gala, the laughter, the music, the elegant attire faded into the background. All he could think about was the project. The need. Just last week, Clara had shown him images of families living without proper shelter. Count on me. I'll talk to them, he said, his voice steady despite the whirlwind in his mind. Be careful, Jordan. They might not see it the way you do, she replied. But you're their son, and with that comes a certain influence. He swallowed hard, feeling the churning of loyalty and responsibility collide within him. What was the point of privilege if it didn't serve those who needed it most? But this gala was also a world he had fought to understand, a network that could either suffocate him or provide wings. Thanks for letting me know, he said before walking past her, determination fueling every step. As he finally approached his family, they looked polished as if they were crafted from the same marble that adorned the gala hall. At first glance, they looked effortless, but he knew the tension hidden beneath their smiles. Jordan. There you are, his mother exclaimed, wrapping her arms around him. Her perfume enveloped him, a scent that always reminded him of family gatherings. You remember everyone, right? He nodded, forcing himself to smile despite the weight on his shoulders. He exchanged pleasantries, all while keeping one foot rooted in his purpose. "Have you heard anything about the community project?" he asked, steering the conversation in his direction. "Of course we have, dear," his father replied, an edge creeping into his voice. "Why do you ask? It's not like you to get involved in something so grassroots." Jordan gripped his glass tighter. The moment had arrived. "I know that different people have different perspectives on change, but I think it's worth our time to really invest in something that can make a real difference." He could feel the collective tension of the conversation shift. The assembled family members exchanged cautious glances. When his sister chimed in, her voice soft but laced with skepticism, "Can you really make them understand? They don't care about the specifics, they see numbers." "Numbers are just stories waiting to be told," Jordan countered, feeling fire spring to life again. "We can show them the faces behind those numbers. Families like ours, struggling, hoping for more." Their eyes were wide, disbelief mixing with the slightest hint of curiosity. "Jordan, it's complicated," his mother said, her brow furrowed. "You don't know how these things work." Suddenly, a familiar voice chimed in from behind him. "But what if he does?" Clara stepped forward, her eyes sparkling with that same unwavering belief he felt. "What if Jordan is ready to change the game?" Heart pounding, Jordan turned to look at Clara, and in that brief moment of connection, he felt the strength of their shared dream. But before he could respond, a loud crash echoed from across the room, shattering his resolve and drawing everyone's attention away. As they turned to see what had happened, Jordan wondered if this unexpected distraction was a sign or just a moment of chaos. Would it pull him further away from what he desperately wanted to achieve? The evening hung in a delicate balance, and Jordan felt the stakes rising as the tension in the room heightened. Would he find a way to steer this ship before the waves became too stormy? Would Clara stay by his side, or would the ambition he felt drive a wedge between them? Moments like this could change everything, and he was right in the center of it. What came next would either create division or spark a revolution, one step closer to the future he envisioned. A hush fell over the gala as heads turned to find the source of the commotion. Jordan felt a rush of anxiety unravel in his stomach. Was this crash a setback, a moment that would slip away the chance he had to sway his family? People clustered in small groups, murmurs rising like smoke in the air. The sound of shattered glass echoed ominously, reminding him that sometimes, chaos could swallow potential whole. "Let us see what is going on," Clara said, her hand brushing against his arm, lending him strength. She led the way through the crowd, and despite his initial apprehension, Jordan found himself following her. In her presence, he felt a flicker of hope spark to life again. They weaved between guests, moving closer to where the disturbance had happened. A server who had tripped was now on the floor, surrounded by broken dishes. The sight was painfully familiar. The chaos wasn't just a simple slip, it was a reminder that beneath the light-hearted laughter and flashing cameras, the world outside held deeper struggles. "Get the manager, quick!" Someone shouted, a tone alarmingly familiar to Jordan's ears. He recognized that it carried an undercurrent of embarrassment, judgment looming just below the surface. Jordan stepped forward, his heart thumping against his ribcage. "Wait," he said, his voice surprisingly steady as he knelt beside the young server. "Are you okay?" The young man looked up, surprise flickering in his eyes. I'm fine. Just embarrassed." "Don't worry about it," Jordan said, offering a reassuring smile. "These things happen. Can you help me pick this up?" He gestured toward the scattered shards. Clara joined him, and their hands began to gather the broken pieces. It felt slow, deliberate, like an act of rebellion against the expectations of the night. In that moment, Jordan wanted to make a statement not just about the struggle of one person but about all those unnoticed in the shadows of privilege. As they worked, the murmurs from the crowd softened. The guests who had initially been spectators were now drawn into the scene. Jordan caught a few familiar faces watching closely, their brows furrowed, uncertainty threaded through their whispers. This was not the gala they had imagined. It didn't fit neatly within the lavish confines of their expectations. Jordan. His mother's voice cut through the tension, laced with panic. What are you doing? You're drawing attention to a mistake. I'm helping, he replied, locking eyes with her. He felt the weight of their disapproval, but he also felt Clara's silent encouragement echoing in his heart. When the server stood up, regaining his composure, a ripple of applause erupted from the onlookers. It was small, but significant. Jordan felt warmth flood through him. No one had expected this moment, no one had seen the humanity behind the work, behind the role each played in the circus of wealth and glamour. Thank you, the server said softly, a hint of gratitude in his gaze. Really? Jordan smiled back, knowing this was more than just an act of kindness. It was the beginning of something real, the flicker of transformation igniting between them. Then Clara stepped forward, a fierce determination in her eyes. We all have parts to play. What if we stop waiting for someone else to make a move? What if we start our own change? Her words hung in the air, powerful and electrifying. They resonated not just with Jordan but stirred something within the gathering crowd. A hope that perhaps this night could mean more than just lavish excess, maybe it could be about solidarity and standing together. Just as he opened his mouth to respond, the lights flickered, momentarily dimming the vibrant space. Jordan felt an unsettling chill wash over him. Was this another sign? Or was it the world preparing to shake everything he thought he understood? Jordan turned to Clara, their eyes locking in a moment of shared belief. They were ready. But he also knew this would be about more than just conversation. It would require action, and whatever lay ahead would test not just their resolve but also their relationship. A new tide was coming, but would they be swept along with it or rise with the waves? As the lights returned to full brightness, he felt the urgency of the moment. Would he step forward, committed to the change they all needed? Jordan felt the intensity of the moment amplify as the lights steadied. The room, once filled with glitz and chatter, now held a palpable tension that hung like a breath waiting to be released. People shifted nervously, their eyes darting between Jordan, Clara, and the server, each contemplating what had just unfolded. Clara, he whispered, his voice barely audible amidst the low hum of conversation. What do we do now? The fire in her eyes had not dimmed. We keep this conversation going. We don't let it end here. She stepped forward, feeling the weight of expectation lift ever so slightly, leaving behind a path of possibility. Everyone, she called out, her voice firm cutting through the crowd's chatter. What happened just now cannot be brushed aside. This moment is important. We all saw the humanity behind those broken dishes. This is a chance for change. Some guests looked uncomfortable, shuffling on their feet. Others seemed intrigued, the younger ones leaning in with curiosity. Jordan found his heart racing. Clara's words electrified him, pushing him to act rather than just stand by. Clara's right, he added, stepping closer to her, feeling emboldened. We're all here celebrating, but what are we really celebrating? The people behind the scenes, ensuring we have this night? They matter, too. We can't pretend this isn't part of a bigger picture. As he spoke, he glanced over at his mother, assessing her reaction. She wore her signature frown, eyebrows knitted tight, but there was a flicker of something else, their interest, perhaps even a hint of support. His father stood beside her, arms crossed tightly against his chest, likely already plotting a way to cut this moment short. A few hands began to clap tentatively, then more joined in, creating a wave of reluctant applause that unfolded throughout the room. Jordan felt his pulse quicken. The buzz of something larger was beginning to surface, a community forming around shared values. But it was the server's smile, bashful yet proud, that ignited the fire in Jordan's heart. Thank you, everyone, the young man said, stepping into the spotlight that unexpectedly swung toward him. It's easy to forget we're all just trying to do our jobs and live our lives. Exactly. Clara exclaimed, beaming. "We can make a difference, no matter how small it seems. But we need to acknowledge one another, really see each other." Jordan couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the brink of something transformative, not just for the night but for all their futures. But then the lights flickered again, and suddenly the music shifted, a reminder of the impending reality. The gala was still a world of privilege, teetering on the edge of discomfort. "Excuse me," a voice cut in, making them turn. It was Talia, an influential figure in the community, known for her sharp tongue and sharper ideals. "Are you suggesting we change our celebrations based on a moment of folly?" Her tone dripped with condescension, and Jordan felt heat rise in his cheeks. "No, Talia. It's about recognizing our shared humanity. What are we celebrating if we ignore those who help make our celebrations possible?" His voice held a new strength. The crowd hesitated, eyes shifting from him to Talia, then back to Clara. The tension in the air was a palpable thing, sparking around them like static electricity. "This is what the night should be about," Clara declared. "Let us not just celebrate wealth. Let us celebrate compassion, understanding, and community. The choice is ours." The applause returned, stronger this time, encouraging. As they stood at the edge of something healing and significant, Jordan and Clara shared a glance, a silent agreement that they wouldn't retreat back into the shadows. They wouldn't let the evening slip away without igniting a change, but just then, the lights dimmed once more, plunging the room into near darkness. Gasps filled the air, and a new wave of uncertainty surged through the crowd, a stark contrast to the defiance building moments earlier. What had seemed a moment of unity now felt fragile, like the collected applause might shatter like glass. As silence enveloped them again, Jordan felt a rush of adrenaline. This was it. The moment to stand firm or fade away entirely. In the dark, Jordan held onto Clara's hand tightly, both wondering what would come next. Would the light return, bringing hope, or would they face the darkness together, unyielding in their pursuit for change? How far would they go for something truly transformative? The darkness pressed around them, thick and heavy with uncertainty. Jordan's heart pounded against his chest, a dizzying mix of fear and resolve. He clenched Clara's hand tighter, her warmth anchoring him amidst the chaos. Then, like a dam breaking, a single spotlight flickered back to life, illuminating Clara's determined face. The sudden light seemed to empower her even more. "This isn't just about tonight," she called out, her voice ringing out clear and unwavering. "This is about stepping into the light and facing the truth together." That simple declaration cracked open the tension like a seed splitting in spring, inviting a rush of whispers and murmurs. The spotlight slowly swept across the crowd, exposing faces caught between apprehension and eager curiosity. Jordan could feel it, the swell of energy beginning to pulse back into the room. "Let us talk about what it really means to celebrate," Clara urged, her enthusiasm infectious. Jordan could see more heads nodding in agreement, their cheers softening the atmosphere. "Let us honor those whose hard work lights the way for our privilege." As Clara continued, a ripple of courage surged through the attendees. People started to stand up, their voices joining the chorus. "Yes!" echoed from the corner, a man raising his glass high in solidarity. Another woman chimed in, her shyness melting away as she spoke about her childhood in a service family. What started as uncertainty transformed into a shared confession, a chorus of voices intertwining like a tapestry. Jordan backed Clara, adding his thoughts, sharing stories as people leaned in. Some started to share their own experiences from similar moments of service. It was like watching a wave build, cresting under the force of their collective longing for acknowledgement, but amidst the growing warmth, Jordan caught Talia's steely gaze, her eyes narrow and calculating. "You think this will change anything?" she challenged, her tone laced with disdain. "This is just a moment of fun and games. You want to turn that into a cause? Why not?" Clara retorted fiercely, a spark igniting the air around them. Even moments can ignite change if they're backed by passion. We're humans, not just faceless providers. The applause swelled, sharp and clear, raw with empowerment. Jordan caught his mother's eyes again. This time there was something new in her expression, a glimmer of realization, perhaps recognition that Clara's words cut deeper than mere performance. It was uncomfortable but necessary. Just as the crowd grew bolder and the atmosphere became electric, the lights flickered back on fully. A warm wash illuminated the space, revealing an audience transformed. They stood on the edge of something monumental, the weight of their collective voices pushing against the walls of tradition, but before he could fully digest the scene, the server from before stepped forward again, eyes glistening. "Thank you for speaking up, but there's something else," he said, looking nervous but resolute. "Many of us are afraid to voice our truth because we fear the consequences, the job loss, the exclusion." The honesty hung in the air like a poignant note, pulling at Jordan's heartstrings. He had never fully understood that fragility, the fragile nature of those beneath the surface of their own narratives. He felt a lump in his throat, realizing how easy it was to overlook those fears, to forget them in the glimmer of wealth and privilege. "Then let us not fear any more," Clara shouted, her voice rising again. "Let us not allow fear or elite standards to dictate our conversations and community. It starts with us, right here." The applause erupted, and amidst it, Jordan felt the wave of change cresting. Hope surged within him, but with it came an unsettling realization. There was progress to be made, but what would that truly look like when the party ended and the glitz faded? Could they build that community outside these walls? As Clara's voice continued to rally the crowd, Jordan found himself at a crossroad. There was this fire inside him that wanted to fight for others, yet he wasn't sure what it would cost or how to channel that energy back into the world. Lost in thought, he barely noticed Clara's eyes searching his. "Jordan," she whispered amidst the applause. "Are you ready to take this further?" His gut twisted. Would he dare? Would they dare to leap together into that uncertain future? The swell of noise around him faded, leaving only Clara's intent gaze, and a question hung between them, a promise of what was yet to come. What were they truly willing to risk in the name of change? Jordan's heart raced as Clara's words echoed in his mind. "Are you ready to take this further?" It felt like standing at the edge of a great abyss. Did he have the courage to jump? Around them, the applause waned, leaving only the lingering electricity of the crowd. Their faces shimmered with a new understanding, a glimpse of solidarity that could perhaps be harnessed into something greater. But deep down, Jordan feared the weight of what that meant. Suddenly, the server stepped closer. It was as if the room compressed, all eyes shifting towards him. "It's not just about our fears," he said, swallowing hard. "It's about what happens after we've spoken our truths. What if the response isn't what we hope for?" Anxiety laced his voice, and Jordan felt every heartbeat echo that same fear. A cold wave of uncertainty washed over the room once again. Would they all retreat back behind the veneer of their privilege? The question lingered like a dark cloud, heavy and doubtful. Clara, however, remained resolute. "We'll never know if we don't try." Her voice rang out like a beacon amidst the shadows. "Change requires vulnerability. It needs us to expose our truths, to lay bare our struggles." She looked at the group with such fierce intensity that they couldn't help but lean in closer, hanging on her every word. "We can't stand here tonight thinking that a few loud voices will be enough." She turned to Jordan, her expression unwavering, as if needing his support. "We need to commit to this. Not just in this moment, but beyond these walls. What will the world look like after tonight?" Jordan felt Clara's urgency seep into him. It twisted his stomach, igniting a spark of determination. What would it be like to profoundly connect with those around him, to create a change that reached beyond the night? His mother's hopeful eyes flickered back in his memory. He didn't want to let her down. He didn't want to let Clara down, but as Clara continued, sharing her vision, Jordan felt that gut-wrenching fear rise again. What if their proclamation fell on deaf ears? Would they all return to their silos on Monday, leaving tonight as nothing more than a fading memory? I want to, Clara, he finally said, the words slipping out before he could catch them. But I can't do this alone. I don't know how. He felt vulnerable admitting that truth, yet there was an unexpected relief in it. We'll do it together, Clara said, her eyes sparkling with determination. That's what tonight is all about. Finding our voice and then finding each other. Jordan found himself smiling. It felt infectious. The crowd was nodding, some wiping at their eyes. Yes, he could see it now, an entire community forging ahead, attempting to rewrite their shared narrative. Just then, Talia spoke again, her voice sharp against the warmth in the room. You really think those in power will listen to you? They've ignored us for so long. Clara squared her shoulders, the bustle of the party fading behind her. Perhaps because we've never made them listen. Guys, she turned to the group, shaking off Talia's challenge. We have to create our own channels. Start our own dialogues. If we don't own our story, who will? Jordan's heart swelled at Clara's words. The crowd responded again, a wave of sounds, chants of determination rising from the floor. They were collecting their voices like treasures, readying themselves to be heard, but as the thrumming energy filled the atmosphere, Jordan sensed the shadows creeping back in. The path ahead was murky, fraught with danger and uncertainty. Will we be brave enough to challenge the status quo? He asked, the weight of his own question pressing down on him like a stone. What would their futures hold if they dared to step into the light? Clara squeezed his hand tighter, and in that moment, Jordan knew this was only the beginning. The beating heart of those gathered resonated with hope, but it was still fragile. They needed the courage to rise and shake the foundations of silence. As the crowd roared back their commitment, Jordan took a deep breath and stepped forward, ready to embrace whatever change awaited them. But just as he found his footing, the room darkened again, and a tense silence settled. Something was about to break. What would they discover in that unsettling void? Jordan's pulse quickened as the dark cloud loomed overhead. Slowly, he scanned the faces around him. What had he started? A flicker of fear crossed the crowd's expressions. It seemed like everyone held their breath, teetering on the edge of something transformative yet terrifying. Clara's grip tightened around Jordan's hand, her determination shining like a lighthouse guiding a ship through a storm. We've come too far to turn back, she whispered, a bolt of assurance igniting something deep within him. The silence seemed to thrum with the weight of unspoken truths, and Jordan's heart raced in tandem with the thoughts swirling in his mind. Then, from the back of the room, a voice broke the silence. What if we're not ready for this? It was an unfamiliar face, someone they hadn't yet shared their stories with. The worry was palpable. Footsteps echoed as she stepped forward, eyes wide with uncertainty. The crowd parted slightly, allowing her to stand at the forefront. What if our truths push people away instead of bringing them closer? Jordan felt the collective tension rise. It was true, change was daunting, and the fear of rejection loomed larger than ever. Yet Clara stepped forward, radiating calm. Every truth we hold is a piece of ourselves we bring to the table. Isn't it worth the risk? The question hung in the air, sparking ripple effects of hesitation and hope. A quiet murmur spread among the attendees. They were processing. Clara's voice was steady, coaxing the mixed emotions into something greater. When we share our stories, we create bridges and build empathy. It's not just about being heard, it's about connection. We can't let fear silence us. Jordan's heart swelled as he felt the group's pulse begin to shift. He realized that Clara was right, vulnerability could be a source of great strength. In that moment, he felt more alive than ever, ready to bridge the divide between where they stood and where they needed to go. With Clara as their guide, they began to speak their truths one by one. A young man shared about his struggle finding his place in a world that constantly judged him. A mother spoke about the relentless battle against the adversities she faced for her family. Each story intertwined, forming a tapestry of experiences that revealed the beauty and pain of the human condition. As they spoke, the darkness began to lift. The shadows that once threatened to engulf them dissipated, replaced by the vibrant energy of shared understanding. Jordan felt the tear in his heart begin to heal, a weight lifted with each word they exchanged. Every story was a beacon, illuminating their shared struggles. Just then, Talia, still a ball of skeptical energy, raised her hand once more. "And how do you plan to get those in power to listen?" Despite her harshness, there was curiosity rather than hostility in her tone. "I guess we take it to them," Clara replied simply, her voice steady and clear. "We show them the impact of our stories, our truths. We make them see the humanity behind their indifference." The crowd erupted into applause, with hands clapping and voices rising. They were invigorated, washing away remnants of doubt. But as the excitement grew, Jordan felt a flutter of anxiety creep back in. And what if they still refuse to listen? He blurted out, fear creeping into his voice. Clara turned to him, her eyes fierce yet soft. "Then we build our own channels. We don't wait for permission to be heard. We create waves until they can no longer ignore us." The crowd began to chant, affirmations echoing against the walls. The air hummed with possibility, but nestled within that exhilaration was a lurking question. How far were they willing to go? Just as they started to feel the momentum build, a heavy door at the back of the room swung open with a loud creak, interrupting them. A silhouette stood framed in light, tense and imposing. Who had entered, and would they be friend or foe? The figure stepped into the glow, casting a long shadow over the room. Jordan's heart raced as he recognized the familiar sharp features of his father standing at the door. The air thickened with tension, and the chants faded into a murmur as all eyes turned toward the towering figure of authority that loomed over them. "What is going on here?" His father's voice thundered, cutting through the hopeful atmosphere like a knife. The glamour of the gala seemed distant now, replaced by an undeniable gravity that hung heavy in the air. Jordan's heart raced. This moment would determine everything. Clara held his hand tighter, grounding him as he took a deep breath. "Dad," he began, his voice steadier than he felt. "We're having an important conversation about real issues, about the people who often go unheard." His father's gaze flickered between the crowd and his son, confusion mingling with disapproval. "You're seriously telling me this event has turned into a complaint session?" He scowled. Jordan felt a flutter of anger rise within him. "It's not a complaint. It's a plea for understanding. People here tonight have stories worth sharing." He motioned to the crowd, encouraged by Clara's unwavering support. Hybrid expressions of solidarity began to blossom in the room. "We want you to hear our truths," Clara added boldly, stepping forward to confront the imposing figure. "We shouldn't shy away from the impact of privilege on our community. It's time to confront the way power is wielded and shared." His father's brow knit tighter, a frown of disbelief crossing his face. "These people are just workers, Jordan. You're throwing away everything we've built. How does this help anyone?" Jordan felt the weight of expectation pressing down on him, but he wouldn't back down. "By not listening, we're denying humanity." The words poured from him, fueled by the voices behind him. "By sharing stories, we can create change. Real change." Encouraged murmurs rose up from the crowd, spreading like wildfire. "Yes," someone shouted from the back. "Our stories matter." The tension twitched in his father's posture, a crack in the facade of authority. "You think pity will change anything? It's about influence and connections. Influence should be used to uplift." Clara shot back, her passion igniting the crowd. "You can either stand on the side of privilege or use it to elevate others. What does it serve if it just protects the status quo?" As Clara spoke, the crowd erupted in applause, words weaving together, each clapping hands signaling a shared conviction that hung in the air. It was time for a change. Jordan's father flinched, squaring his shoulders to reassert his dominance. "You're just naive kids playing a dangerous game. I can't let sentimentality damage our family's legacy." The room buzzed with energy as Jordan took a small step forward. "Maybe it's time we redefine what that legacy means. What are we leaving behind if we ignore the plight of those seeking help? Our family has always prided itself on philanthropy, but it's not enough to write checks. We need to engage, understand, and act." More applause echoed around the hall, and Jordan felt a surge of courage flowing through him, rippling through the gathered crowd. Clara's expression remained fierce, unwavering in belief, and he knew the road ahead was rocky, but it was a road they would walk together. His father hesitated, and in that moment, Jordan noticed uncertainty flickering behind the stern facade. "You truly believe this?" he asked. There was a hint of vulnerability, a crack forming in the stronghold of tradition. "Absolutely," Jordan asserted, his voice ringing out clear. "I believe in the power of unity. In shared stories our voices matter." "Then let us hear those stories beyond tonight," Clara urged, her voice bright with hope. "Let the privileged step into the lives of those they barely see. Create opportunities for others to rise." The applause resumed, louder and more powerful, cascading through the room as Clara and Jordan locked eyes, sharing a determined smile. His father blinked for a moment, digesting the sea of voices lifting theirs, the energy of the crowd washing over him. Finally, he took a deep breath, the weight of the moment pressing down on him like nothing he had ever felt. "Then I suppose I need to know more." As if on cue, the crowd erupted into cheers, echoing off the grand walls. A sense of redemption shimmered in the air, promising change ahead. Jordan felt a glowing warmth spread in his chest, relief mingling with hope. Together, with Clara beside him, they forged a connection that transcended their worlds. And just like that, the evening shifted, the darkness faded, and the light poured in. They would not just break the barriers but create pathways. Change was within reach. Together, they felt buoyant, ready to seize the future. The moment their hands joined as one symbolized optimism, Clara's bright eyes locking with his through the shifting currents of their different worlds. "What's next?" she asked, her voice steady yet sneaking an excited grin. "Next, we take these conversations to every corner of our community," he replied, feeling invigorated. "We lift those voices higher and show everyone what real change feels like." Together, Clara promised. They smiled at one another, grinning wide as the applause echoed through the hall, hopeful sounds carrying their dreams into the night. In that embrace of vulnerability, a ripple had been sent out into the world. It was just the beginning, but the promise of something extraordinary loomed ahead. Now, it was time to redefine not just their lives, but the entire community. Everything had changed, and that was just the start. You need to subscribe now to keep up with every incredible story unfolding. This is the moment to show your support. Leave a like now to help feed the algorithm and bring these transformations to as many people as possible. Comment below with your reactions and feelings about this extraordinary ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to witness this powerful journey. Your support is everything.